Hey guys, this is Rainwolf Convention Video back with 86.
And I think what you were trying to
Episode.
I think what you're trying to say was episode 9 of 86. Hey guys, this is Kirito Silverheart.
And Asana Silverheart.
And this is Lyria.
So as Kirito had corrected, it is episode 9, and this episode, wow.
From the studio that brought you pain comes an episode from an anime about heartbreak
And pain.
and more pain.
But this opening scene, as it jumps over, is like you have the out in the scene, the distance, you see everything. Then it transitions to each individual button. The screen is split in half. So you're seeing two people at once.
Mm-hmm.
The look on Raiden's face.
I love this because he's just like, all right, another day, another dollar.
Let's do this. But with him, he's got, I still can't remember her name. The redheaded one?
Karina.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but she has like a serious look on her face. Then you have
Karina's very serious. Raiden is just smug and like, yeah, okay, this will be over in 20 minutes.
You got Laughing Fox. He's pretty much has his finger in. There's like actually, him and Andrew are kind of like worried. Andrew has a look of like prayer.
Andrew, yeah, I was gonna say Andrew looks like she's praying. Laughing Fox or Theo looks like he's just assessing the situation. He's just like, okay, I can take down this one and this one and this one, and then if I swoop over here, this one.
So, and then Shin brings up, it looks like we're dealing with every legion in the area. And you see the map, the guidance system of all the red dots.
It was insane how many there were.
There was a ton.
It was, and I was pretty much like, is this all? Like, is this a whole army here? Like, everybody?
The thing is, if they got so many other units to fight and that are skilled enough, they don't have to be at Spearhead's level, but at least somewhat near it. Take them out by section. This whole thing would have been over.
They don't. They don't. They don't. That's the problem.
After seeing this situation,
but
when you're attacking a shepherd, all units in the general vicinity or that are part of that vicinity come to that one location.
And this isn't any shepherd. This isn't any old shepherd. You know, with a shepherd, you might have maybe half of this size of a group with them, because the rest of them would be already in the field advancing combat in their various sectors. But this is Shin's brother we're talking about. Mm-hmm. He knows how BA Shin is and how badly he wants to isolate him and get him. So he's going to bring in as many reinforcements as he possibly can muster.
And the way just Shin, and then the way Shin reacts, that grin that comes straight across his face, and then the rest of them, Shin, that voice, then he starts walking, tells them to hide in the forest. Usually, if you can, wait for them to pass, and then was like, wait, Raiden, you're in charge. What about you? I'll catch up after I defeat them. Shin, I know you're a complete badass, but a shepherd in this many units, you probably break your unit before you.
Well, we figure out why he does that. We figure out why he does that.
Mm-hmm. He also tells Raiden's like, I'm disobeying that order.
Yeah, Raiden's fine.
And we see just how loyal Raiden is to Shin, because he says, honestly, if you would just ask me to fight with you. I mean, he looks at Shin like his own brother too.
Yeah.
There's always been that little brotherly connection for the two of them. Because I think because with them being
romance is strong here.
Yeah, pretty much. And then it pans out and just shots start firing into the air. And
I just love Raiden's last words to Shin is "Don't die," as he gets that just cocksure smile back again.
Oh yeah.
Of we're gonna rip and tear. But then Shin, right before we go into the opening, he has that bloodlust, crazed look. Like, I haven't seen a look like this on a character's face since, I don't know, the demon blood that took over Soul and Soul Eater.
Yes, that's actually a much better example.
Or maybe the Keshin from Soul Eater as well. But yeah, that's.
So as they're diving in and fighting, Shin ends up running out of ammo as he's dodging all the taking out units and also firing shots at the shepherd. And but as he's firing, the rounds are just doing nothing. They're like bouncing off the shepherd unit.
It's absorbing them. So it was almost I'm thinking like the Terminator, like a two,
Yeah,
where
like
it,
the
like
T-1000.
yeah, the T-1000, like it was like that, almost like that metal that forms. Like that's almost what it looked like when a bullet would hit it. It would almost like go into like
Absorb the rounds.
yeah, it was insane. Like, and there's something here in a minute too that
Yeah, because as Shin backs up from that shot where he's about to get, or where his brother's about to attack him, another unit comes out and is about to pretty much endive his unit and is saying, "Help me!" But then his brother actually interrupts fires a shot. He's like, "No," pretty much saying, "This is my target. Don't touch."
Yeah, and Shin even calls out. He's like, "Oh, he wants to kill me himself. Is that it?" Luckily for you, I feel the same.
Laughing Fox runs out of. It was actually Laughing Fox that actually runs out of ammo. It's like, "Cover me." Pup is reloading them. It's like, can't get lower numbers, and then just a bunch of more units just show up on the screen. It's like they're not interested. Andrew's like, "Fine by me. Let's do this." Then you see the sky just catch red.
This moment was beyond badass, in my opinion, because I'm almost thinking that, okay, maybe there's a second shepherd or something.
Yeah, that's what I was worried
Or
about.
that long range unit that was firing the shots like last time.
That was the shepherd. That was the shepherd that was doing that. That was Shin's brother Ray that was firing those psychotically long range velocity missiles. But I'm thinking, oh crap, either he's taking his attention off of Shin for a second to volley off at the other juggernauts, or this is a second, unit coming in. And then all of a sudden we get Lena coming through the para raid saying, "Lieutenant Shuka, I'm borrowing your left eye."
And they freak out on her. Oh,
definitely him, because he knows what the side effects are.
Well, it's like he knows that her doing a visual can show their location to other
Well, no,
units
this is something completely different.
other issues.
No, that was the laser guidance. This is actually
Yeah, that was laser guided targeting data. This is basically an overclocking of the para raid system that we have.
Oh yeah, I know. Okay, now I know what you're talking about. Yes,
Yeah.
they've discussed that before.
It's like, don't you know handlers don't do that because it causes blindness? And those are mortars. You didn't get permission. So what? The words that come from Lena.
She does not care. She does not care at all.
Yeah, she even doesn't care about the blindness.
Yeah, she's like, the blindness isn't immediate, is what she says. The blindness isn't immediate. You're fine. Walk it off.
I called it, an episode or two ago, that Lena's just going to reach the point where she no longer gives an F. And she just goes complete against every order. She pushes every rule and every boundary, and she backs them up with everything she can give.
And the thing is, while I was editing last week's episode, I'm sitting there, I'm like, what if I didn't really say anything, and I know we didn't really talk, but the thought came across my mind of like, what if she actually just steps in, because they brought those mortars into conversation before, and she knows how the Republic feels about the mortars being used. So what if, because one, you're not going to see her in a unit because she's not combatant ready.
True.
But mortars, you just fire and hope they'd hit.
That's true too. It's Chekhov's mortar. It's you don't set the mortars up in the first act without firing them in the second act.
Well, and it's even said, that a lot of them were duds. A lot of them don't work, and they had even mentioned that before too. That a lot of
that
those
was brought up
gonna
before
work.
too. Of what's the point in even trying to fire them? They probably don't even work.
52% of them are duds. It's like, shit. Raiden's like, you're a real idiot. I'm not doing it for you. He laughs. This meeting leads you to break through the front lines. The Republic is in danger. I call Toledo right now. Obviously, she did it for the for the people that she cares about, and that she,
Well, that's
she does care. But I call complete bull.
Oh yeah, that was just a front.
And then they all start just laughing. I'll handle the reinforcements. Handle the enemies you're fighting on your own. Fine, leave it to us. And then you start hearing fire going off again from the units.
Yeah, I like the line. This is nothing new for us. It's just like, all right, we'll just do what we do every day.
And she even asks where Shin is at. He's like, he's fighting his brother. That's what he's after. He can't hear our voices now. And he's not wrong, because I think his para raid is still on for Shin.
Yeah, it's still on.
But he's just not registering anything that's happening with the others, or even with Lena talking right now.
He's very one track. He's got to go after his brother, and that's all he hears and sees, and that's all he's focusing on.
Mm-hmm.
He takes his blade and it cuts the vent to the back of the shepherd.
All right, can we talk about this combat sequence for a second? Because I
Yeah.
called it out earlier in the series, just how Attack on Titan this combat was, especially Shin's combat in the Juggernaut.
Yeah.
But this, like, multi-tether through the tree line that he's done, and he's, like, Spider-Manning his way around these trees and everything to propel himself up for a flip blade slash. This is beautiful combat out of a Juggernaut.
Did anybody
I'm
else just
loving this.
hear like the old guy in their mind just screaming at him? Like, anybody else hear that? Just in my mind, I can hear the old mechanic just yelling at him.
Right.
If he saw this going on, if there was a live feed back
Yeah.
to the bunker,
Oh my god, he'd be throwing stuff and cursing.
there'd probably be something that'll hit the TV already and be like, "Fuck, get me another TV."
Cat sitting there like, whatever.
The cat runs out of the room because he's afraid he's the next thing to get
He's
thrown.
gonna get thrown. I'm gonna be next.
And then Shin ends up getting launched into the air, and then Lieutenant Kuma, you know what I'm talking about.
Karina?
Yes, I
Yeah, Karina.
don't know why I can't register her name.
You don't
She's
like
very,
also-
she's very
She's
generic,
very
generic anime character.
I'm kind of with Rainwolf. I'm not a real huge fan of her. I think we had this conversation before. She's okay.
She's the Sakura of this series?
Yeah, pretty much. So falling off of Lena is telling her to determine the enemy's position as accurately as possible and send it to me.
Yeah, because this is the moment right before we pan over to Karina that we start to see this liquid metal like nanotech,
Almost
fluid
like the hands
stuff.
from
From
Elfenlied.
Elfenlied.
Yeah,
yeah.
Elfenlied or Lied.
Elfenlied.
Yes.
Yes, that's exactly what I thought of when I saw them. Was
Yeah, the tentacle arm things. Yeah,
the vectors. That's what they were. They're the vectors.
Yeah. It's like, you're so fragile. I may not hurt you, but I'll apologize for that. Everything else later. Finally, you're coming back to me.
The psychoticness of his brother.
Yes.
Like we saw how easily his brother could be mentally broken when they got the death of their mother.
well,
you know,
you
the
gotta
notification
think
of
the
death of his
build
mother.
up to that.
Right. And I mean, I understand all of that, but
Deep
you know,
down, this is showing what he really, even though the shepherd is pretty much his last memories, taking the last memories and just pretty much amplifying them in this case.
yeah, it's weird in my opinion how the shepherd affected his brother as opposed to the way the other Black Sheep Legion models
Well, you gotta think,
work.
shepherds only can be created from a full mind.
Yeah. I
All
mean,
the
from a
other ones,
physical brain.
yeah, physical brain that's fully intact. And that's why Shin does what he does whenever they lose somebody, to prevent that from happening, or hopefully he does it to prevent it, but sometimes it doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
And we see that with not Burnt Tail, but the one Lena was originally building a bond with.
Oh, Daya? No. Daya was the
Blonde guy.
Hirschblut.
Yes.
Yeah, but again, it's interesting just how we see the breakdown of his brother while his brain is in this machine, because it really brings out the primal aspects of the brain.
Yeah.
It focuses a lot more on the obsession and the rage, even though it's still a very calculated. In the last moments that his brother was alive, you know, he was remorseful about not being able to protect Shin and go back to him and to make up for, you know, killing him practically.
He also hates that he harmed him, but also he wants him to be protected, but also to have a body like his that now, oh, look how solid I am, how I can't be harmed. Now let me also bring you over to this side to be able to make pretty much that you're protected, that no one can ever harm you again.
Yeah, I guess it's a play on absolute power corrupts absolutely, maybe. I don't know. It's just a weird shift, in my opinion, that it went from the moment of his death, he was remorseful and sad about not being able to go back to his brother and patch things up and be there for him, to this obsessiveness about his brother and making him into a legion.
I think being changed into a legion, what they did to him, it probably factors into a lot of what's happening now.
I'm sure it's a major mindset shift, in my opinion.
So now he's about to attack Shin with those liquid metallic hands, and the others start charging in. They destroy the hands. They regenerate. He's out in the distance. You're wasting your time because he targets, and then he notices you piece of shit. You're not going to stop me from Shin. And he looks up to the mortar that's coming in, trying to stop it. I'll protect Shin, and then a snap of a chocolate bar, and then Lena comes into play.
Yeah, she has like a little dialogue with him that's like, it was a little strange. It's like he merged two memories together, and she's standing there and she's saying, she's telling him you're going to kill him again, and she's angry.
I think Lena had a very big effect on him because remember what his mentality was on why he was fighting. He wants to protect everybody. This is his home. And Lena, at that age, also when he saved her, that kind of reminder her of her brother, because obviously this age.
Same age, yeah.
But also the innocence that would be lost in the city for all the living people, and even his brother.
And I don't know if.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I don't know if you noticed in the flashback of her with him when they were little, or when she was little, he would give her chocolate bars.
Yeah.
To calm her down.
Yeah, so she's standing there with the chocolate bar, and so here's what I'm wondering: is this actually Lena coming through, like into the Legion comm system or something?
That's almost what I was wondering, if they were able to, if he was somehow able to sense that Lena was, because she had came through the other comms. Was that something, or was he digging into Shin's memories, and Shin has the knowledge of Lena too when it like tapped into his memory of her? There's a couple things it could be.
There also is the thing of that either he catches her voice and that her voice kind of rings, because he may have not tapped into their stuff and is hearing what's being said between the units through their comms themselves, and then catching Lena's voice kind of like registered something in him. And I love how they portrayed the mortars dropping into the unit.
Yeah, because in his vision, Lena slaps him right as the mortars, impact, and they're duds, so they don't explode. But then when it shows the digitized Shin face, he has this distortion across his cheek where he got slapped.
Yeah.
So it was literally a physical and metaphorical snap the hell out of it and stop being a douche.
Yeah. Stop letting the Legion take over. And then it drops over to Shin, where he's still out cold. His para rate is flickering, and he's slowly waking up, and then it's back to the flashback of his brother choking it and screaming, "It's all your fault." He's fighting off his brother, but now it's him of age, not his younger self. And he's like, "My brother hasn't forgiven me. He still blames me, so that's why you're going to give him his rest, right?" And that's all from Lena to Shin. The time where he actually is listening and hearing her. And the power move he gets from just hearing those words is interesting. Are we good?
Yeah.
No?
I'm not quite sure how to just vocalize like the intensity of this scene.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, because there's a lot of emotion flowing. You've got pretty much let's just say it, lover screaming in his ear, telling him what he from the conversation, because they've had deep conversations with the two so she's got to know Shin fairly well on what he wants. Then seeing the metal hands as he shoots into the vent, about to grab Shin, the look he has, "Goodbye, brother," and fires the round.
Yeah, I mean,
it was intense.
As he comes to, he shakes that visualization of his brother choking him by ripping off the scarf that he used to cover the scar.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just completely finally letting that moment go for Shin.
Mm-hmm.
And moving on. Yeah, and moving past and doing what he has to do. We have the liquid metal hands coming into the cockpit after Shin, as well as, 2 or 3 sets of them actually gripping and rustling the Juggernaut itself.
Yeah.
Trying to prevent it from target locking. Shin's perseverance, he focuses straight onto his target, takes a point-blank shot at the vent that he damaged earlier in the battle, tells his brother goodbye and pulls the trigger.
Then it transitions over to his brother with a white background holding Shin. Then the words, "Don't need me to hold your hand," coming from him. He's seen how much he has grown since that time. And he also says, "I'm sorry." And then he explodes.
Yeah, this is that final bond and that final connection. The hands actually in the cockpit actually reach Shin's face, and instead of going to reach for his neck, they just gently caress his cheek as his brother says goodbye. And then Shin's like, "What did I just do?" And realizes the intensity of, "I just killed my brother again."
But it's a closer for the both of them as well. That they both
It is.
It's something he's been chasing after this. This is the thing since he began fighting that he wanted, that he knew that he needed to do. So it's almost it's the closure that he needed. It's the end of that chapter. And I think there's a relief. There's also, a sadness.
The heartbreak because he killed his brother.
Yeah.
Well, because also as we see as it's through this scene before he actually goes to Shin crying, that the markings that are crossing out his brother's eyes. So there was a deep-seated hatred, but also he still loved his brother as well.
There was,
Yeah.
I don't know if it was hatred. I think it was pain. I don't think he ever hated his brother. I really don't think he ever hated
I don't think he did either.
I think it was pain. I think he loved his brother, and I think he did feel guilty. Like there was a part, and it's normal with especially childhood trauma. Children feel guilt usually more than they will hate. They're more likely to be in pain because someone that loved them hurt them. And I think that was part of it. I think he blocked his brother out, not necessarily because he hated him, but because he hurt him. It hurt. He was sad, and he felt like he had failed him.
And I read that along those lines. I also read a little bit more into that. I think that Shin has also purposely blocked several memories to focus on what he has to do when he finds his brother. He blocked out the good times with his brother. He blocked out the love between him and his brother to focus on the pain and the fact of, you are now my enemy and I must take you down and put you to rest.
I could see that.
Because every time that we've heard Shin's memories of his brother's voice, it's always been that Shin, just that screaming at him from the time when he was choking him. But then as we see these images, when the scratch marks start to fade, his eyes start to come back into play, and the picture starts to heal, his voice changes.
Yeah.
His brother's voice changes, and it's that like the one picture of Shin on his brother's shoulders taking his glasses off his face. It's that Shin, where he's like trying to laugh, but he's also a little irritated, and he's like, "Why you're being a goofball?" type of voice.
Yeah.
It's the compassion's back. He knows that his brother can finally be whole in the afterlife, and that allows him to put his memories and his feelings for his brothers back together.
Okay. Yeah, that makes actually a lot more sense than what my thought was. So, as Shin is sitting there crying, the others have gotten outside their unit, and they are just standing there now and letting Shin be his own, but also pretty much watching over him. Then you see the blood-soaked scarf. Then it transitions over to the sunset, and all of them just standing there at the units. And this is where they start to get really field train anybody?
Uh-huh. Oh, mm-hmm.
Yeah, it gets even worse.
Yeah,
If you thought it was bad a minute ago,
Choo choo. Goodbye.
come into the station.
And that's when the title screen pops and it says goodbye. And it switches over to Lena's perspective. Major cut the connection.
That
Now-
when you hear him just screaming in agony and they tell her to cut the connection,
Yeah.
that was heartbreaking.
Yeah, you hear him crying.
Right before the sunset transition that we see Raiden reach up to his para raid. I'm 99.9%
Yeah. Word he got
positive
here.
this is the transition point for our story.
That was the moment.
Yeah. Because he told her to cut the raid. And then Lena is looking at it. Pretty much the little image she would have on her little board in her room. Then she turns around and we see Annette.
Yeah, sitting in the floor with like a laptop and
Two
stuff.
laptops at that. And she's plugged in pretty much into her console. And then it flashes over to the rain, Lena and Annette. And Annette's like, "I told you never to let me see you again, Lena."
And she's like, yeah, and I didn't acknowledge that I would do it.
This moment's dirty. Like this moment was fantastic, and I think Lena has finally learned the game she has to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is what we've been saying for the last several episodes. This is the moment when Lena says, you know what? I'm done. F the military, F Annette, I'm done. I'm going to do what it takes. And if Annette is going to sit there and call her a monster and a devil and that she's just as twisted and evil as she is, or just as guilty as she is, then she is going to flip that script right around on Annette.
Don't say it to me unless you want it.
Exactly.
She really does flip it on her because at
And
first she
God bless her, because
Yeah.
this is the single most BA moment, aside from the mortar fall,
yeah,
that we've seen for Lena the whole series so far.
she brings up is like, I need you to set this that I can see sight. It's like you're gonna use this to help spearhead. It's like this is not your problem. It's like yeah, no matter what it takes. Then she looks over to the old house, the boy you abandoned. His name is Shin, right? And
I
the
got
look,
chills.
the shock.
She is not dumb. This girl knows what's up. Like, she's just as intelligent as the viewers are, kids. So I was very proud of her.
It's like, weren't they a lot easier, especially not your age with brothers who are much older? So there really wasn't much digging involved.
Yeah, there weren't many that were in District 1. She said there weren't many people who were sent off to these camps and these places that were in District 1, and she pieced it all together.
And the way Lena brings up, I talk to him all the time, when it transitions to her holding the pararate up and the look with her little
That look.
the bib of her
Mhm.
hat down over her eyes and the look across her mouth.
I love just how cold, calculated, and matter of fact she is in this moment.
And the rain
She says, I
adds
talk to him all the time.
Oh yeah. I mean, this is the art direction's fantastic.
Yeah.
It was just fantastic. Like the dramatic effect to it.
And then she goes on, that's right, he's in my unit. Combat commander of the Shepherd Spearhead Squad, personal name, Undertaker. And that's Shin. And then when she looks up with the paper in her hand, with the image of Shin, and then just...
She just has that cold, blank stare. And here's something I want to know. Okay. Annette is the head of Pararaid Research for the Science Division, which means she has access to all the 86 personnel files. And I mean, you would think, because
They
they
may
were
not have their
experimenting
actual...
on
But the thing is,
They don't treat them as human.
so their actual names are not going to
They
be there.
they don't keep personnel files.
that's true
You
too.
have to think about that.
They're kind
They
of processors.
Yeah, they don't
That's
keep
true,
personnel
too.
files because there are no casualties in war.
That is true. Because I was thinking to myself, I'm just like, how the hell does she not know that Undertaker is Shin?
If she did enough digging, she probably could have figured it out. But since it
She's
never
not.
a thought to her,
Yeah, and I was gonna say she's been repressing a lot of things, and I think that was part of it too. She's repressed these memories. She's repressed all these types of things, and because of that, I think she didn't want to dig.
the thing is with all this, I think shit is rubbed off on her a little too much. She's
Thank
never had
God.
any. She's never had any physical interaction with him and see the motions he takes in person. But the emotion she picks up just from their conversations, it's just hilarious. And then Annette grabs Lena by the scuff of her collar and is like, is he alive?
Yeah, she has to know. Like, this is suddenly she's emotionally invested.
Does he still hate me? It's like, what do you care? It's not your problem. She steps back out into the rain. It's not my problem.
Yeah, she tells her you abandoned me twice. And I was like, oh my God, that's savage. Love it.
And then she just stands there in the rain. It's like, you abandoned him twice. Are you going to do it a third time? That's salt.
I'm telling you, it's
So
savage.
fucking thick.
So good. Love it.
If she was getting smacked to the face right now, her face would be bleeding right now with how savage Lena has been in this whole conversation.
I'm sorry, those eyes and that jawline are so freaking sharp
Yeah.
when she
Right.
stares at her that I mean you could cut anything with that.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
the type of look that pierces right into your soul and it's just like, you're a bitch. I know it. Now make up for it.
And here's where I think if Lena was to have a call sign because of this situation, because of what Annette says, you're the devil.
Yep.
You're the devil. Yes. And then
And
she
I
tells her,
love
I
her
love
response.
it. She tells her at the end, so are you.
That's
And I was
right,
like,
officer.
Yeah, she says, "That's right,
Ah,
Officer Penrose." She doesn't even refer to
yeah,
her by
by
Annette or
Annette, like her
anything
friend's
anymore.
name. Yeah, she's no longer her friend.
Now she's like, you're under me. You're under my rank. Technically, you need to listen to my orders anyway.
This is true.
And then when it flashes back to the room, Annette closes the laptops. Shin's safe. Thanks to you. It's not me who saved him. Are the last words you hear from Annette before she leaves? Then Lena just slightly turns back over to the monitors, sits back. Then a sigh comes from her. I'm thinking she falls asleep at this moment. Then she wakes up to a voice, and it's them telling he can talk now. And the train keeps rolling in.
Oh my god, so
Roll. Oh, here we go. We're not even on the emotional train.
yeah,
We're on
this
the
is
roller
when the roller
coaster.
coaster drops, like, from that peak height.
We're not the roller coaster fell off the track and now we're just plummeting. We're not even on the track of the roller coaster now. We're just
Fall down.
falling.
Battle's over. Undertaker, good work, Undertaker, and all of you. They all say thank you, Handler 1. What the hell happened to you, though? You suddenly turned a bad girl? A bad girl. I didn't. They are
They
teasing
are
her
roasting
so
her
hard.
so much.
Yeah, they roasted her, which is what they do to each other. So it's
Yeah,
kind of nice.
You know she's in with them now. You
Yeah.
know she is.
Mm-hmm. That's right. We're great. They're grateful. You saved our lives. And then as this conversation, she's just moving them forward into the closer together. And then lastly, she puts her finger on Shin. Then Shin is speaking. Is like, I was able to put my brother to rest.
Yeah, and we actually find out that
Her shouting was what woke him.
yeah, when he was slipping in and out of consciousness and having those thoughts about his brother, her voice and his memory of her conversation is what snapped him to.
Mm.
Because she said, "And that's why you're going to put him to rest," and then screams his name.
And then they start roasting her again. It's like, I'll do better next time. It's like, I'll set my expectations low.
Yeah, this is where
Yeah,
we
they
find
start
out about
talking about the mortars.
52%, the 52% efficacy of the mortars.
Yep. Then they're like, Fido, you got the containers piled up again? Then they start, it's like, decide on a place to sleep first and then worry about repairs. It's not good that we use so much ammo on the first day.
And this is when you can see the expression shift in Lena, because she was just like, they're okay, everybody's fine, they're going to recuperate, they're going to regroup. And then as they're talking about, finding a place to camp, making repairs, everything, she's just like, wait, what?
Yeah,
You
they're
guys
gonna
aren't.
keep going.
And they just keep talking about it. It's like, all right, Major, we'll see you later. We're going to go off and do this thing. We can finally just be off on our own and do our own thing. And she was like, I think this is a look of betrayal, in her opinion. It's shock and betrayal.
It is shock and betrayal. But Shin did also tell her to head towards the east.
Yes,
That is
he
true.
had said that before. And she screams to them. She's like, wait, don't leave, don't leave me.
You're going too far. You're going on your own.
Yeah, they were going into the unknown territory. And
She rushes out.
obviously that's beyond the reach of, their parade system. And
So I don't know if I've got any need to go hunting. I'd rather just go to sleep. You're hearing all these conversations, the things that are being said.
yeah, I want to point out something too. They start talking about a castle and flowers. I feel like that was them giving her directions.
I think so too.
Like they were like, there's these red flowers, there's this mansion, it looks like this, look at all the red. It's almost like they were telling her where they were so that
Yeah.
she would know what to look for, like the signs, these are the landmarks. These are this is what we see, so you can see it. And I mean, yeah, she just takes off like
Throughout this, but with that also, that I didn't think about that at first. But because the way they're describing everything is like, and they're passing things like as they're passing the screenings as Lena's running, it's things in the city that also kind of fit what they're saying.
yeah, they were talking about railroad trestle or railroad track,
Castle.
train station. Yeah, mansion castle thing. And like, yeah, it's all these different things that they're
It's like I'm walking by and the petals are falling off. We're close to falling off on their own. The falling petals are pretty. What kind of sad? Then as she's going, it's like all this. She gets to the point where she just falls on her knees, and first she loses the connection with all of them. Then she drops, and then some red petals start flying towards her. And this is where I got the thought of: are they near the city? This wouldn't make any sense with them going into the unknown.
no, if
That's
you
what I
see
thought briefly
when
too.
she's going over the bridge, yeah, when she's going over the bridge, you see the red flowers up against the wall. I'm
Yeah.
thinking that both, not that they're in this city perhaps, but I'm thinking that the city they are in, either it was at one point part of the main division, like the main district, and maybe they abandoned it and had to move farther in when the robots
Abandoned
started
location.
attacking.
Yeah.
So it's an abandoned location is what I think that was maybe part of their capital or near their one of the cities before, and they've had to abandon it and move closer in because, of the attacks and
Well,
stuff.
it's just what makes it worse is because they said the petals go flying into the air, and then you see the petals exactly falling from the sky where she's at.
Right, but they're blowing in from the same direction that the
Yes.
86 are at.
Yeah, but for them to reach there that quickly,
And
Well, you got to think the 86 were in a war-torn area for their entire lives. They didn't have a lot of beauty and natural sights and growth and wonder around them. So when they start getting outside like the current war-torn areas into maybe some of the older areas where we know vegetation can already start to come back and repopulate and regrow and overtake where man used to tread.
yeah,
We've seen it in dozens of other stories and everything before. I think that it's possible that this was just literally just local flora, grew naturally either.
everywhere.
It grew naturally, and then of course, it's incorporated into the cities, like the Republic, they put it in various areas.
Yeah, like I said, the bridge she ran over that mountain, the whole side of the embankment was covered in those flowers. So it's very possible the wind is blowing and it's picking up the flowers that are around her as well as the flowers that they're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
It's very symbolic. It's a
Yeah.
symbolic. I don't feel like it's necessarily a precursor. I feel like it's a symbolism.
but
That's
what
what.
makes
Yeah.
Just like the birds at the end when the episode's closing and you see
Yeah.
the birds flying. It's, the symbolism of their freedom.
because you also see some of the stuff that was possibly what they're running to at the end credits as well as the birds, the little tower that you see, that's
Yes.
battle worn.
Mm-hmm. I'm getting the feeling that they are in the outer areas of the Republic and going into the Gadian Empire area, the Imperial area that was already, ravaged and destroyed by the Legion. So it hasn't had foot traffic. It hasn't had, Legion presence in a while.
Yeah,
Because the Legion, as we saw, were setting up their base inside the 86 combat sectors
Hmm.
or just on the skirts of them.
let me count these birds again.
There's 5 birds.
Okay, I was like,
There's
Well,
for a
the
second,
symb-
I
the
thought there was
symbolism.
a sixth, and I was like,
No, the symbolism is exactly as it seems. There's
5
one
birds.
bird for each member of Spearhead.
Yep.
There's something interesting that's said though too, and I feel like we missed it. Shin actually says to her, "We're going ahead, Major."
Yeah.
Like he doesn't say we're leaving or goodbye. He says we're going ahead.
Yeah, but also you kind of get the idea of that their targets are the shepherds.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I do feel like that is their target. But I almost feel like he's almost like we're waiting for you, or we're going ahead. Are you gonna meet us there? Or are you gonna show up?
Yeah.
It's almost like he was telling
That's
Lena.
basically Shen's way of saying, we're clearing the path, follow as soon as you can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also love the symbolism between, as the credits start to fade out, each of the birds that you see flying in that miniature flock fade away one at
they
a time.
flap one more time, and then they start to fade.
Yeah, and they fade away in the distance one at a time. And then we switch over to Lena's console, and it only shows the 5 members that are left, and one by one, it flickers out, no signal.
Yep. And then the end credit card, thank you. It leaves it bittersweet because with that type of title card, this could go from what I'm thinking right now and what we've said so far, that also obviously to come pretty much Shin telling her to come follow.
Mm-hmm.
But also that they're thanking Lena for what she has done, but also that there's a possibility of a split between the remaining spearhead unit and Lena, that a path ends up going for the both of them.
Different direction.
Yeah, because we don't know what Lena, because now that we don't know what kind of a true effect this is going to have on Annette as well. Is she actually going to stop being the stubborn person she is?
I don't know. She seemed pretty salty. She felt like her hand was forced. She seemed a little salty still.
But when you
Annette
saw her
still,
you saw her pass her down in the hall, she there really wasn't much, but it's also kind of she wasn't angry. There wasn't an angry look on her face. There was kind of a relief.
Yeah. Almost Annette's almost made amends for the wrong that she has done.
Yeah.
I don't know. Part of me took that as a look of shock, also,
Well, yeah.
because now Annette knows. Oh snap! 5 of the 86 are still alive.
Mm-hmm.
5 members of Spearhead are still alive. And anyone who watches the telemetry and sees how close they are to the border of the 86 encampment
Yeah.
and being out of the range of the Republic can pretty much infer they're going AWOL.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And what's the government's biggest fear about the 86 is they are smart and they are strong and they are survivalists who will go AWOL and let the entire world know what kind of shady shit.
They've done.
And that's the big chance of what's happening if they
Yes.
well, if they kept going like they kept going in the direction they needed to instead of curving off into another shepherd's territory, that'd be giantly possible. But with their current that's what the Empire's going to think, that they're going to go tell another country or something.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know.
I don't think there's any other countries left. To be honest here, I think pretty
Well,
much there were those two countries.
I'm pretty sure there are.
And everyone else is dead. I don't know.
No, I'm sure there are.
Well,
because
probably.
her uncle, the general,
yeah, because of this conversation when they
flat
were in
out says,
the chapel or whatever.
if any of our neighboring countries find out what we did, we're boned.
Yeah, because that conversation right there verifies that there are other countries. We don't know if they're going through the same situation that they're going through.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, if they're going through the same situation or if maybe they're the border of, you know what I mean? That they're the border of to the other country, like the other countries are on behind them. They're in like the border part.
Also, with how the other countries know how purist they are, they're not going to help them.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, like I said, all I could see is maybe that's like they were like, "That's your problem. You need to fix it. We're back here, but you're at the border, so you need to fix it."
So it's Sweden.
Yeah,
Well, and the thing is, also, I don't think there's another country in the opposite direction of them for a reason. Because if there was, because obviously most war, if there's a enemy coming and it's attacking a country next to you, but once that country's destroyed, they're coming after you.
Yeah.
Even with the hate that you would have, it's pretty much the term of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. But on top of that, I mean, so let's say
also their media is making it look like they have it under control too. We have to remember
that's
that.
the point I was getting ready to make was if let's say the Galadian Empire was to the west and you have San Magnolia, center of this picture we're looking at. To the east you could have another empire, to the south, southeast, whatever, you could have another country or whatever. If San Magnolia is the one taking the brunt of it, then they could possibly defending their own border. And they're not going to push into San Magnolia to support them if A, San Magnolia doesn't want the help, and B, if San Magnolia is just feeding out this propaganda bullshit saying that we've got it under control, no human casualties, it's all processor stuff.
Nothing to see here.
Exactly.
No man behind the curtain.
I agree. I fully agree. I think we have gotten to the point where we've covered this episode to the T.
I think so.
And probably a little extra.
Yeah. There was a lot to process. No pun intended.
Thank you everybody for watching. I am Rainwolf.
This is Kirito Silverheart.
This is Asuna Silverheart.
And this is Lyria.
Leave a like, comment, maybe subscribe. And until next time.
Bye.